Hey guys, I was asked to do a video on some of the products that I use on Smokey, and so I decided to make this video to talk about 3 of the most important things that I think are essential to keeping a bird. They are food, the second are perches, and the last is the actual cage itself. Now in between, I might be talking about some of the stuff that I use on the side, but these are the 3 most essential things that I think are really important when keeping a parrot. Now the most important is of course the food and the diet you're feeding the bird. For Smokey, I use Rowdy Bush pellets. I think these are a really good brand of pellets. But whatever brand of pellets that you decide, in my opinion, any kind of pellets are going to be better for the bird than seeds. So it's up to you what kind of pellets you decide to use. But with Smokey, I use Rowdy Bush and I feed her that throughout the day. She always has access to her pellets. But early in the morning, I feed her a variety of vegetables and fruits. Seeds and nuts are used exclusively for 2 things. One is for training, and the second is to encourage foraging behavior. The second thing I want to talk about is perches. Now when you buy a bird cage, they often come with like wooden dowels that look like this. Now if you take a look at this wooden dowel, it's the same diameter throughout. So what this means is that over time the bird's actually going to develop a lot of sores throughout the feet from standing on the same surface throughout the day. You can often think of the bird's perch as kind of like the shoe that they're going to be wearing for the rest of their lives. So it's important that the perches become, or that you make the perches as comfortable as they can be. Now, the perches that I recommend, if you take a look inside Smokey's aviary, it's filled with natural tree branches, and that's really the best thing you can do for your bird in terms of perches. Now, these tree branches vary in diameter. No 2 spots are going to be the same diameter. So that exercises the bird's foot, and it also allows the foot to kind of like grip in different ways. Now, where I got these tree branches, I actually just cut them off from some of the trees I have in my backyard. Just make sure if you're going to do that, you make sure that the trees are safe for your birds to use, because parrots often chew on the wood that they perch on. Now, at the pet stores, they often sell natural perches as well. Some of the available types, and the most popular are manzanita. I actually wouldn't recommend manzanita. That's because manzanita wood is really slippery, and that's true unless it's sandblasted. So sandblasted is better. But I try to avoid manzanita altogether just because it's really slippery for the bird's feet. Ribbonwood is another popular type, and I'd rather go with that over manzanita. But if you can, natural tree branches, these are the best type of perches for your bird. Just because they're really textured, so it allows the bird a really firm grip. And that builds confidence in some birds that might be sensitive, like African greys. I also would recommend, if you're going to keep a parrot and you're going to shower them, I started off using a mist bottle, but I found that my hand gets really tired using that. So if you go to like any kind of pet store, they often have this kind of bottle where you just pump, and this allows you to bird bathe much more efficiently than using a spray bottle. The third thing I want to talk about are toys. Now, I recommend using a variety of toys for your bird, things that have different textures, like leather toys, acrylic toys, and also, most importantly, all birds should be given access to wooden chew toys. Now, I want to show you what this toy looks like when I first bought it. It looks just like this. It's just pretty much a bunch of wooden blocks that are put together. But Smokey never touched this, and a lot of you have asked me this in some of the videos where your bird's uninterested in toys, so how do you get them to become more interested? And I think this is something I did with Smokey recently that I think is just critical to keeping a healthy and happy parrot. And what I do is I take drill bits and I drill a bunch of holes inside this wooden toy. So as you can see, there's a bunch of holes inside, and I just stuff sunflower seeds and nuts inside these holes. Now the holes are of different diameter. That way I can stuff like a variety of nuts and also sunflower seeds. And even though sunflower seeds are bad if fed as the bird's sole diet, it could supplement the diet, and it won't have, it's not bad if it's fed in moderation. So I want to show you guys just how interested and how important these things are to keeping the bird healthy and happy. Smokes. Look at that, Smokes. You want some? So immediately you can see Smokey getting really interested in the toy. And she's gonna come over there. And she's gonna try to get the seeds out. This is really important because in the wild, birds spend the majority of their times foraging and looking for food. Now in captivity, when we keep food inside a bowl, what would take them hours to do in the wild is reduced down to a couple minutes in captivity. So what birds end up with is they end up with a lot of time, and they don't know what to do with that time, so they start resorting to behaviors that in the wild would be natural, like screaming. So by drilling these holes inside the toys, I think it's a really good way to encourage foraging behavior of the birds. It's actually, in my opinion, better than the foraging toys that I bought at the stores, because the foraging toys and puzzle toys that I bought at the store, she's actually figured out how to open them all in a couple minutes. So with the wooden toy like this, it actually keeps her entertained for sometimes up to a whole hour, and sometimes even more. As you can also see, these foraging toys help her to keep her beak in trim, because she's constantly chewing on these wooden blocks, and that's what they're meant to do. I saved the best and the most important for last, the cage. Now inside, Smokey has a cage that measures about 32 inches in width. It's about 20 inches deep and 40 inches high. Now a lot of you are probably thinking, wow, that's a pretty big cage. The reality of it is, it's actually a really, really small cage, considering how active some parrots like African greys can be. Now I know what you guys are thinking. African greys active? Most African greys are described as birds that tend to be really observant and they just stand in one spot. Now, although there is some truth to that, an African grey does also have really active times during the day. And I found that an indoor cage that measures about 32 by 20 by 40 inches high is too small for an African grey. So what I've actually done with that cage is I use it solely as Smokey's sleeping cage at night. And I also use it indoors when I need to keep her locked inside in case I'm cooking something, or I don't want her constantly flying on me and I can't keep an eye on her. So it's kind of like her little playpen when I can't keep an eye on her. When I leave home, however, she's always kept inside this aviary when I'm not available for long periods of time. This aviary measures about 6 feet long, 3 feet wide, and 6 feet high. And again, even though it seems really big, I'm actually thinking about expanding this aviary even bigger, because in my opinion, she's using every single inch of it. So even something this big, in my opinion, is kind of even still restricted for an African grey. So I actually have plans to make this aviary probably at least double the size of this. Now, as you guys can probably see, having an outdoor aviary like this has a lot of advantages. One of which is that the bird has access to natural sunlight. And that's really important because they need natural sunlight to be able to synthesize vitamin D3. Another really important advantage is that because the aviary is so big, I'm able to fit a lot of perches inside, I'm able to fit a lot of foraging toys, and a lot of enrichment activities inside the cage. This way, when I'm away from home, the bird has a lot of opportunities to kind of forage and to kind of explore their environment without getting bored. And all of this gives me a peace of mind when I'm away. I know the bird is perfectly fine being away because it's busy while I'm away. Alright guys, so this is a close-up view of Smokey foraging under the toy that I showed you earlier. So what's really important to notice is that it's actually taking the bird a really long time to get each individual seed or nut out. Now, because of that, the bird is always kept mentally stimulated. Their beaks are always working, so it helps keep their beaks in trim. All the while, it keeps their minds busy. And again, this is really important because most birds that aren't allowed enrichment in captivity resort to prompt behaviors like feather plucking or screaming. But if the bird is able to keep themselves busy, she can't be foraging for these treats and screaming at the same time. So those are mutually incompatible behaviors. So this way we reduce screaming. He smokes. Let me zoom up right here so you can see just how much work it's taken her. All right. Hey, Smokes. What you doing? Smokes. And if you guys take a look at the bottom of the aviary, I always provide her with vegetation in case she wants to shred it up. And she's gonna go right back to foraging. And like I said earlier, you can probably imagine this is gonna take her a very long time. Sometimes it'll take her more than an hour. And the good thing is, once she's done foraging, she gets so tired, she just falls right asleep. So, pretty simple concept. But we reduce so many prompt behaviors. Smokes, can you get it?